Okay. I guess you can open the door.
Can open the doors.
All right, we're gonna call REAC to order.
Okay.
All right, so if you, want to call me in order and tell me to take roll.
Call the meeting to order at 10:16. And then she takes the roll.
Okay, Peg Zugby?
Yeah.
Rajamar?
Yeah.
Tim Rock? Yeah. All right, so we are in order. First item of business,
The only
items of business, there's no action items, there's no new business, there's no old business. The treasurer's report, I can, again, you've been sent those. I can tell you they're just our typical routine bills. There's nothing extraordinary, unusual expenditures.
I'd like to highlight, just because REAC has been somewhat inactive, the congregation Perez Yaakov school will be closing on a bond issue in October. So that's the deal that will get done.
Which is great because there's been kind of not a lot of deals for REAC over the last several years, so this is a good one. That's it. That's all I've got.
Any other comments? Motion to close?
Okay. Now, I'm worried about, we'll sign everything after.
Yeah. Let's get the.
All right, next. Got to call the IDA meeting to order and I'll do roll.
Call the IDA meeting to order. Call the roll.
Peg Zugby?
Yeah.
Rajamar?
Yeah.
Tim Riley?
Still there.
Okay. Just as a point, very quickly, we got a very nice thank you. You were sent the email of a very nice thank you from RCC. Thank you for thanking us for the scholarship program. Just to let you know that they acknowledged it. There was a nice article in the Rockland Business Journal, I believe it was, or was it Times?
The
Lowhut?
Journal. No, it was in the Business Journal.
Okay.
Yeah, the school released a press release.
Georgina Freshman?
I believe it was that.
Okay, feel like I'll go through the action items if you like, Tim. So the first one we have is Asahi Depository. This is the folks over in Blauvelt. They are doing that precious metals processing facility. Like number of our, I don't know if is there someone here?
I'm gonna check.
I don't believe so.
Is anyone here from Asahi?
I know the answer to that is no. I told them. So, Asahi is asking for some additional sales tax. It's really kind of consistent what we've seen with almost the majority of our projects. The cost of capital expenditure is just going up significantly, due to COVID and other, world economics. So they're asking for some additional sales tax exemption to be able to complete the job as projected. So I can give you the details of that if you'd like, but I think they did send you everything, but they are looking.
251,000.
Yep, that's it. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions about that, or if not, then someone wanted to make a motion. Okay. Someone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and I'll call roll call. Peg Zugby? Rajamar?
Yes.
Tim Riley?
Yes.
Okay. The next project is the Ranch Hudson Valley sales tax exemption request. We do have Michael Klein here, so I will. Yeah, I mean, some people came with it. This is the Ranch Hudson Valley, TRHD. Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Michael is representing the ranch. I'll just kind of give a quick overview, then I'll hand it over to you. The ranch is in the midst of their renovation. This is that spa facility that, which I'm kind of simplifying what it is. It's actually a bigger scale than that, over in Sloatsburg. And they've come back and said that they're requesting a significant additional exemption on the sales tax. And I asked Michael to come in because of the scale of it. I thought it'd be a good idea to have Michael come in and explain a little bit what it's doing and the circumstances.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here briefly this morning. So we initially applied to the IDA soon after we had a contract to purchase the property. And that contract was subject to a variety of contingencies, including development approvals. And there were estimates at that early point as to what the project would cost. Again, this is a 120-year-old estate house built by J.P. Morgan for his daughter, who was marrying the great-grandson of Alexander Hamilton. Building the house because they wouldn't let them into Tuxedo Park because they were new money and therefore they weren't welcome, so they built their own mansion elsewhere. So the initial estimates became problematic for a variety of reasons. One, they anticipated initially that they'd be able to use most of the existing electrical system and the plumbing system. That's not the case. They had to replace all the systems from ground up. So that was an unanticipated expense. Perhaps they should have anticipated it, but they did not. There have been increases dramatically in cost of materials, and they're ordering materials that have to be historically matching those which exist on the building, because one of the features is to maintain the historic nature of the property. So those costs have been much greater than had been anticipated with COVID-related delays and supply chain issues, all of these things combined. In addition, initially the town was not letting them replace an existing large swimming pool. They were forbidding us to build a brand new solarium. And now we receive variances from the town that permits us to basically reconstruct the whole outdoor swimming pool. So there's a whole variety of reasons why the costs have escalated by over $10 million. So that's why we are back before you to ask for additional relief. And I would only point out just quickly one other thing. Every project is unique. This one is truly unique. The flagship facility of this is in Malibu, California. It's been consistently rated the #1 health and wellness retreat in the country. They recently opened a facility in Italy, and it's been rated by Travel and Leisure magazine as the #1 international health and wellness retreat. And so we have Malibu, California, we have Italy, and we're going to have Sloatsburg.
Michael, I just want to confirm, this was prior to the ranch, this property was off the tax rolls, is that correct?
It was exempt. It was purchased in 1941 by the Sister Servants, which is a Catholic order of Ukrainian Catholic religious order of women. They've operated it consistently since then. It's over 200 acres, and they actually own some other surrounding property. We closed just the last month on the sale of 144 acres of that property, which the sisters needed to continue their work since their finances are in terrible shape. And it's been off the tax rolls since at least 1941.
And this project kind of puts it back on the tax rolls apart from the IDA incentives. And
that's correct.
So you purchased the property already?
We purchased it last month.
Okay, so have you started any of the renovations?
Yes, because we leased the property from the sisters, and we were granted sales tax relief as a tenant as we proceeded to on the purchase. So we've tremendously benefited from what the IDA has already done, but we've exhausted that sales tax benefit, and we have significant construction costs moving forward. So that's why we're back before you.
Just when you go up, it's not Eagle. Is it Eagle Valley Road? The main.
It's I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. Do you know what a watchtower is building?
Yeah, at IBM, right next to IBM.
It actually borders where it's the new watchtower facility, actually. It was approved years ago as an over 55 development that never got built. Watchtower built the property, and it's actually next to that. You can't see it from virtually anywhere unless you're in a helicopter. There's a lake on one side. You have to drive through this long, winding road to get to it. It's amazing that nobody really knows that this exists. So it's off Sterling Monroe.
So when you're leaving Sloatsburg
Yes,
on whatever that main drag is, I think it's Pine Meadow Road is the one that goes out into IBM and into
you
Sterling
don't make
Park.
that turn. You keep going straight as if you're going to do.
And it's on the right?
left.
It's on the left.
It's on the
Somebody
left.
cut a new road in there.
That's the Watchtower people.
Gotcha.
And that actually has a common entrance, so.
Yeah,
it will
that's-
lead into
right.
the.
That's the Watchtower project you're talking about.
That's the Watchtower.
Because they also built next to IBM in Sterling Bars, a mini city up there. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am, and one of the most amazing things to me is, I remember meeting with some of the Watchtower people, and I asked who their general contractor was. They said,
No,
it's the
They've done
Watchtower.
this on self-perform.
Yeah,
They've done it
yeah. They
themselves.
brought people in, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah,
We're not doing this ourselves.
I know.
Is there an anticipated opening date, like a completion date on the,
Well, the owner says March of 2024. The contractor, I don't think is quite as optimistic as Mr. Glasscock is, but that's what they're hoping for. The renovations of the existing building are substantially done, but we have to build a whole solarium building and do other things outside. So, I was asked to advise the board that there will be an opening of the estate house before the rest of it is built. And you guys have been so helpful to the project that you're clearly being invited to come have the tour with Mr. Glasscock so you can see what the property is. So it's really,
yeah.
there's nothing really like
you ask
this.
to tell them to let me know and I'll get it to the board to make
Yeah.
sure everybody's
It's just,
aware of it.
An amazing facility. So, and it only houses, there are 49 bedrooms, become 26 bedrooms. So it's just a unique project and it's recognized internationally as one of the best.
I've lived in Sutherland for over 40 years and I never realized that was there. And I do a lot of hiking and exploring. It's amazing.
Just, I had a client come in the other day, and we had no idea that we knew each other regarding this project. And somehow we came up with a conversation. She said, yeah, I grew up in the area. My husband and I just wandered in there and we were looking around. We opened the door, we walked in the facility just to see what was going on. And Mr. Glasscock was there and basically said, what are you guys doing here? And they struck up a conversation and they talked about the history of the property and they all had this personal knowledge. Apparently kids went to school there from the city for a while and it was like a residential school at one point.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
So us, California and Italy.
Yeah. Want to move the question?
All right, I guess if somebody wants to make a motion, if there's no other questions.
Peggy? That's a second.
Okay, Peg Zugby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay, so you've
Thank you
been-
very
Good
much.
luck.
You'll do, and Michael, because, just to make it clear, because of the size of the additional sales tax, we have to kind of go through the process of, we'll have a public hearing, and then I presume we'll authorize it or consider the authorizing resolution at our October meeting, and I'll let you know.
Okay,
Now, if there's a timeliness of when they need that sales tax exemption, presuming the board approves it in October, they would get ahead of it and have attorneys talk to make sure documents are all kind of ready to go.
that's great.
I-
And I
I-
have no doubt if I ask my client, he'll say, I need it yesterday, so yes.
That's why I'm saying that,
Okay.
I'd suggest that we just not sit and not do anything until October, that maybe we can get everything kind of teed up.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, okay. Oh, and you're gonna stick around also for something
I will.
else, right? Okay. Okay, so, Peg, Raj, okay, I think we have, Regeneron.
Comment? Okay, Regeneron?
Morning.
There.
Morning.
Morning, everyone, and thank you. I know it's been a busy, and thank you for your patience as we try to go through this. Maybe a good way to start is just have everyone introduce tell us, who everybody is against the board. And then we'll kind of, what I'll do then is I'll go into a little bit of an overview, set the table, and I'll turn it to you to kind of take it from there.
Sure. Thanks for having us. I'm Mark Weingarten. I'm a partner in the law firm of Del Bello, Ganell, Weingarten, Wise, and Wiedeker. And we've had the privilege of representing Regeneron for, I don't know, 20 years or so. Wonderful company. So we're happy to be here this morning.
I'm Mark's partner, Janet Harris. I've been with Mark for 26 years now. I've been doing IDA work for all of that time. I haven't been here recently, but happy to be here today on behalf of Regeneron.
I'm Dale Fanning. I'm Executive Director of Tax Operations, basically handle all the day-to-day operations for the company. Part of it is obtaining incentives from the county, state, villages, towns. Happy to be here.
Tim Terrell, I'm the Director of Tax. I report to Dale, so basically everything he does, I do as well. Nice to meet everybody.
So just to kick off the discussion, Regeneron has applied for incentives regarding the I guess, well, still technically the Avon facility, but soon to be the former Avon facility in Suffolk. And again, looking for sales tax. I don't think mortgage tax. It was sales tax and a pilot. So with that said, I'll turn it back over to you. And if you guys want to give everyone an update of what's happening, and we'll go from there.
You want to talk a little bit about the company or myself? How do you want to go about it?
I can give an update. So obviously, we're looking at the Avon building. We are in a large global expansion and also expansion to New York. We have expansion plans that we've announced in our Terrytown campus. But we are hiring at a very high rate, so we need the space, and it fit our purposes because it has lab space in it, and it also has office space. We're more focused on the lab space for this because we are running out of lab space in our Terrytown campus. So, this was a great opportunity for us to look at this building. We're in the process now of doing our due diligence on the building. We do have an offer to purchase it, but we're in our investigation period, so we haven't formalized the contract yet.
And I'll just, again, for those of you who don't know, Regeneron is one of the top 10 largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. They're one of the fastest growing actually in the world with 9 medicines that they have patents. It's really a remarkable story. There are more than 10,000 employees.
11,000 now.
11,000 employees in the state of New York. And I say this is remarkable because when I started, they were a very small company. I watched the growth. They've become an international company. As I said, when we came the first time informally to me, the best thing we could do is say, go talk to people where Regeneron is located and go talk to their governments and the other IDAs that have been doing business with them. You'll find they're wonderful corporate citizens. They're committed to being part of their community. The jobs that we're talking about creating here, 230, which probably they usually exceed those goals. And these are new jobs. These are new hires. These are average salaries over $150,000 a year. And these are people who are going to come and live in the communities and buy homes and do all the rest of those good things. So we've been part of that enormous growth in Westchester, where they already have close to a couple of million feet of business, of existing facilities in Mount Pleasant and County Greenberg. And we have another 1 million square feet that they're in the process of creating also in Westchester right now. So it's really a wonderful success story. And we're looking forward to being part of Rockland County.
And the one thing I'll add too is that we have received a incentive proposal from the state of New York for the Excelsior jobs credits. So we have received that. It's new information since last time. So,
Okay. I know everyone was sent the application in advance, and I'm assuming everyone had reviewed it to a certain degree, but I guess if the board has any questions about the project or anything.
I have some questions. Renovation, $63 million roughly?
building renovations, yes. There's about another $30 million of equipment and things like that, so.
Okay. Is there going to be a problem with the EPA at all? I mean, I don't know, you understand where I'm getting, yeah. Go ahead.
We don't see any problems. We haven't had it in the past. Obviously, we'll go through the proper channels to get that approved, but the construction is within the building itself. We're not changing the footprint of the building, just inside of it. So, but we do have requirements that we have to meet for our lab space. So it'll be to whatever requirements appropriate, so.
Okay. Have you had any, without getting into details, any pushback from any of the municipalities at all?
I'll do that. We've had meetings with all of them. Actually, I should say that we haven't met yet with the county, but we were told, we made the offer, but we've met with the village, and we've met with the town, we've been having discussions, we've put things back and forth with respect to, and the school district as well, the superintendent of the school a couple of times. Not only have we supplied them the information they wanted, we've gone back and forth on a confidential basis on very particular detail on the use of the facility with the village to get them to sign off on the fact that the zoning is permitted. In fact, just to tell you, the interesting story was when they asked for that information, it came to my office. I think I had to go through 3 drafts because I couldn't understand what they were doing. It made no sense. And even the first draft we sent to the village said, really, could you put it a little more English?
We let the scientists respond.
So, yeah, it was a mistake. But the basic bottom line is they now have all that information. We've given them all of our economic information, and we are waiting to hear back. We've had very good meetings, but, we don't have anything resolved at the moment.
I will just add, and it was as recent as yesterday, I can say that the county executive was aware that you were coming today, and he did reiterate that, he thinks he has his support, let's say that. I'll leave it at that. Again, I know there's 2 components here. They're looking for sales tax, and then of course the pilot. The pilot, the municipalities are aware of this. The pilot is, from a timing standpoint, the IDA has its timing as far as, let's say on the sales tax. If you were to approve this today, what you're approving is inducing sales tax and in authorizing them to go negotiate a pilot. They've already been having those initial discussions. The timing of all that, and the short is we could close on. We have our own independent schedule as far as closing on the sales tax side of things that runs parallel with the timing of the pilot. We're not as.
And just again, so you're familiar with the specifics of it, and we don't have to go into the very minute detail. What's being asked for, we believe, is extremely reasonable on the pilot side. The rationale behind our request is not to pay less taxes than, for example, what an office building would pay, what a typical office building would pay, et cetera. What happens here when you buy laboratory space, you buy a building, and we're buying it for a particular amount of money, we're basically tearing out what they have in there for the most part, because it's only specific to Regeneron. The kinds of things that we're putting into the building only really works for them. The Avon stuff doesn't really work for them. So the fact of the matter is, and you can see right now, what we're buying the building, while it's a significant amount of money, is severely less than your appraiser appraised the building at, that you're now in a dispute with Avon over, because they had all of their improvements, which frankly are worthless to us. We have to pull those out and put our own in. So what we're saying is we have to put very specific and expensive stuff into the building, which inflates the value of that building. We're asking to pay the tax on essentially the purchase price of the building, which is the fair market value of the building, which is what we're paying, which is probably more than others would pay. And we're asking to base it on that. So it's not, it may be different, a little different from other people who come in and ask for significant discounts off of what you would be getting if someone else came in. We're looking to pay a significant amount of tax, just not quite as much as what maybe the current law would require us to pay.
Most of your construction is in the lab work, because obviously you have the office space which can be done. So is most of the construction?
Yes, it would be lab space, and also we have a cold storage space. So the build out of those would have to be. So I believe there's parts of the lab space that we can use, but the majority of it is really going to factor around changing the ventilation system within the building to meet our requirements.
How long do you anticipate construction to take?
2.5 years.
Oh, okay. That's after you buy the place, right?
Yes.
And if you get all the approvals, when do you plan to close on the building?
Well, if we make it through our investigation period here, it would be December.
End of the year.
And by the end of the
By the end of the year, we're hoping to. that's
So
why we've been
after
moving
you
on
do
this
that,
quickly.
your permitting and everything will take you another 2.5 years.
Yes, we are leasing it for a short period of time to Avon, so they can get the people out, the final people out, so it
Got
won't
it,
be a
got it.
clear cut. They're gone. I think it's only a couple month period, 4-month period.
For the most part, our due diligence consists of this process with you and the municipalities,
Yeah,
as well as an assurance that the zoning use is permitted, within the building, that we'll be able to use the building for our purposes.
And have you met that department to make sure?
Yeah, they have all of our information. We've been back and forth with them. We're waiting.
But they haven't approved it yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
You mentioned that the building is staying the same, but are there any plans for any other improvements or the parking, or you're sticking with the building? Because, I mean, the reason why I asked the question, you're dealing with the village of Suffern, other than the pilot negotiation, any other aspect of the land use side, so do you have any improvements?
No,
I
as far
think the
as I
only
know,
thing that we would
it's all
change,
interior.
yep, we'd probably upgrade the security signage in the security shack. That's
Right, so no land use entitlements from Suffern at this point?
Not at this point.
Not that we're aware of.
Right, could there be something down the road where they get into the building and decide they want to do a little something? That would be after we've already closed down the building. There's no current plan for that.
And we don't anticipate, as a result of this use going in from Avon, that there would be any sort of land use approval required for that change in end user.
Being a pharmaceutical company, are you guys working 24 hours a day? Or you have certain times?
I don't, in our Rensselaer facility that's manufacturing, yes. Down in Terrytown, other than exuberant scientists who work around the clock, I don't believe we have around the clock. So.
My suggestion would have been that you should have had the scientists fill out the application.
You wouldn't understand.
Are you gonna have to keep that back parking lot, the one across the railroad tracks?
That I don't know.
I think we are keeping it in current form and using it for zoning purpose, et cetera.
Yeah, because I don't think there's ever been a car who's ever parked in there. I know they have it for zoning purposes, but you know what they use it for? They store snow in there after they clear the streets. That's about it.
Well, that's the kind of thing we've done before on other projects. And again, I don't know what the parking needs are here, where you can, in a land bank context, take out the asphalt and create something there and have it as parking if it becomes necessary. It's something we can talk to the village about. I don't think we've gotten that whole detail yet.
I have not heard that in any point.
I don't know. Yeah, what is the acreage?
What is the acreage of the property? Don't go crazy. I don't know, that's fine.
I think it's on the last page.
It is 11 acres.
11 acres?
Yeah, and the existing building is approximately 235,000.
Yeah, that we saw, yeah. 235,000.
There's 705 parking spaces.
So based on the initial 230 people, we probably won't need that. Not knowing how that 750, what's on the back.
Then the village will have no place to put their snow though.
1,000 square foot per employee, not bad.
Well, like I said, a lot of labs.
Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
I guess, yeah, someone wants.
Someone want to move it?
I'll move it.
Raj?
Okay. Peg Zugby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
You're induced.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
We will, obviously, next steps are, we'll be setting a public hearing. We'll let you know, when that's going. Again, you're not required to attend a public hearing. It's a one-way communication. Anybody in the public wants to give us verbal or written comment. And then, again, we'll talk about the next step would be an authorizing resolution. We can talk about the timing of that.
It sounds great.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I know it's gonna, we had a crowd out there, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now it's been a good day. Okay, I guess Sheriff Penrose technically.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Yes, nice seats.
Hey, everybody. Steve.
Hello, everyone. Just full disclosure, I know we call it the Haverstraw Chair Factory project, and I know we're gonna have to stop doing that. We're gonna call it the Penrose project. Okay, based on the application.
Call it whatever you want.
Unless you like the Haverstraw Chair, unless you want us to call it.
Well, we are like, we do need to work on kind of a naming thing, and we do this kind of community engagement efforts, and we've gotten the community to kind of vote on a name of their involvement in it. And so they're starting to call themselves Haverstraw Forward. So we're gonna try to kind of mix those things in to figure out the naming for the actual project itself, but,
Bricktown.
yeah. Bricktown. That was actually one of because we had like a meeting and everybody put names on a board, and then we did a survey vote of all those names. It did not win, but we didn't get your votes in there. We might have to
Because Haverstraw Village was
Yeah.
Was the legacy of it.
It was, yeah,
Well,
no.
New York City is built with tapestry bricks.
Absolutely, yeah, and we've been talking to the Brick Museum about collaborating with them to have kind of an annex down at the project, so that, you know, because they're gonna be expanding with some DRI funds, their actual operations on Main Street, so we've been talking about how we can kind of have it, so that when people come to the waterfront, they can have an experience for, you know, the brick history as well.
I think in any event, we're doing a better job than what we would usually do, which is start off with a building number and name. It runs all the way to the other job. It's like, okay, so what do we call
Yeah.
2 Allison now?
Yeah, exactly.
And just by way of intros, real quick, guys, I'm Dylan Solomons from Penrose. I'm one of the partners on the project. I wanted to come up today just to get to know some people, make sure that I was visible to everybody. I have a hard stop at 11 for a problem I'm dealing with New York City. But I really wanted to make sure that I had some time to meet with you guys and make sure that I was here for you if you need any questions.
And thank you for coming. Just as an overview, I know that the group's been before us before, so everyone's generally familiar with the project. And again, they're looking for the inducement today from us. And like I said, I appreciate the fact you brought us a presentation, and the board has gotten the application in advance. So I'm sure they've all reviewed it. But with that said, it's always a good idea to just give everyone a snapshot overview of the project that we talked about, if you'd like to do that.
Sure, I can give you the quick and dirty. So, you know, we started this effort off beginning of the year officially, and we started with kind of a development strategy approach that we take, which is kind of a quasi-master planning process, but we did that with a ton of community engagement, working hand in hand with the village, all the kind of authorities around there, like, you know, the DC and kind of all the agencies that are going to be involved, because this is a complicated project on the waterfront. The DS was adopted, and then, as we do in a lot of our projects as a team, we actually proposed a new form-based zoning code for the site. And that is very consistent with the village's comp plan, because the comp plan called for form-based zoning to be looked at for the village as a whole. So this project is actually going to be, for lack of a better term, a pilot for the form-based zoning efforts in the village of Haverstraw, that we're going to be testing a new form-based zoning code on the site that will hopefully be expanded to the rest of the village. So we've been working hand in hand with the village's planning team, outside planning staff on that effort. So the zoning code was submitted in May, and we started the New York State seeker process. We're hoping to finish that seeker process by the beginning of January. We're right on track with that timeline. And the project itself is currently contemplated to be around 600,000 square feet of development. It's 450 units, 70% of which will be part of New York State tax credit program and have some level of affordability, and 30% will be straight market rate. And running the gamut, these guys can talk a little bit about the different affordability levels that we have. And then we're going to have a hotel, which will eventually be part of this project. So we're talking to several hotel sponsors that will work with us to develop the hotel component of the project.
Which is not part of the application here.
That'll be a later phase of the development. And we have about 13,000 square feet of commercial space. So we might be coming back to you folks to talk about the commercial aspect of this as well, which will be a mix of retail space and some kind of community serving facilities. We want to do some exciting stuff with that portion of the project, like have pop-up retail, entrepreneurship opportunities for local folks. I'm actually, right after this, going back to the village. We're doing a 4-hour walk around downtown to meet with all the local retailers. We're really starting to try to integrate our project with them. And I think, as I explained last time I was with you guys, unlike, you know, some of the projects in the area, like, you know, the Ginsburg developments that have occurred, which are great development, we are really trying to integrate our project into the core and the network of the village. So it's really just a continuation of downtown as you approach the waterfront, which has been something that the community's been really excited about along the way. So again, we're close to getting our seeker approvals and our zoning done, and we're at that point now with you folks where we'd like to kind of work through the inducement and the benefits that are going to make the economics of the deal work for us. There's a lot of infrastructure going on in this project. We're going to be building about 4 acres of new park system along the waterfront, which will be fully publicly accessible. We have to do a lot of road infrastructure that's going to happen. We're trying to connect the project and the road infrastructure around the backside so that It will actually only be pedestrian access and emergency access from Main Street to the project. So you'll get that real great feel when you're walking down Main Street to the waterfront of just a continuous walk down the hill, with buildings on your left and the river in front of you. So it's very integrated, and we're very excited about it, and happy to answer any questions about the project.
So you're far enough back and up from the river?
Yeah, the actual building.
I'm thinking about like the flooding.
Yes.
So you're not level with the river.
Correct.
You're up from the.
Well, a lot of the buildings will be butted up against the hill. I don't know if you know the area, but
Yeah,
Allison
I do.
Avenue runs
Yeah.
right there. So a lot of the buildings will be butt up against that hill to keep us as much out of the floodplain as possible. And then we'll be building structured parking on the ground floors with residents.
I
above
just
that.
know it always floods there.
It does, yeah. We've been dealing with DEC and our team and the village's team on how we're gonna, mitigate that flood risk and make sure that, all the habitable space is gonna be well above the floodplain levels and the 100-year flood
I
levels.
mean, it's 100-year, it floods every year, you know.
Yeah, no, it does for a lot.
It can't be 100-year because it's flooding.
Yeah, no,
every
everybody's
year.
talking about 500-year floodplain levels these days. Is a lot of
It's
part of
just
the
awful,
discussion. Yeah.
People are rebuilding and then it just floods and floods and floods.
Yeah, no. So we are fully on board with making sure that obviously is something that we mitigate.
Okay,
No, it's a great comment. I mean, listen, we're going to be investing $200-300 billion in the
No, I
project,
know.
so
I just
we have
figured-
an
I
interest
thought
in
you
making
thought
sure
about
that
it,
it
but-
is.
And I do
flood resilient.
appreciate the fact that when you go for the pilot, that you estimated about how many kids would be coming out of there being on the school board for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and
That's gonna be the first question you're
we're going to
asking.
be excited to meet with you folks. I think we met. I don't know, you were there when we were talking about the geothermal stuff when it was the first time we had our
Yeah.
opportunity to meet.
So
which is
that's gonna
moving
be
along.
the first question you ask when you're there.
100%. Yeah, and we did a lot of pupil yield analysis, in all of our projects that has been both using kind of traditional Rutgers methodologies and other methodologies. So we've really kind of run the gamut, and we can explain to you folks all the different kind of numbers that we've run through. And we believe that a lot of that pupil yield will also come from people moving within the district already. And we can explain, when we get in front of the board, a little bit more detail about that. But, our experience working with kind of IDAs has been extensive, this whole team. Specifically, we rewrote the new uniform tax exempt policy with the city of New Rochelle. That has been super successful for them in moving forward a lot of investment and development. I mean, New Rochelle is basically in a position now where they have their best fiscal position they've had in 100 years because of all the stuff that we've worked on with them. So, it's all of that, right? It's making sure that the school-age children thing is addressed. It's making sure that the benefit to the village and to the township as a whole in the county is something that we're looking very closely at. And, that's why I'll also be walking around the town meeting with retailers for the rest of today to make sure that kind of everybody's on board.
So your 3 phases are going to be the housing, then the retail, and then the hotel?
The retail will be integrated into the first phases of the housing.
Okay.
So that'll all be built at once. The hotel will just be a separate phase. We'd like to move it as quickly as possible. But obviously, we're still coming out of the malaise of COVID with hotel and hotel financing. So it's going to take a little bit longer, and there's a huge housing need going on right now in the county, in the town, and the village. So we're excited to move that piece of the equation. It will be about 5 buildings of total development as contemplated now, 4 of which will be for the mixed income housing and the retail component, and then the 5th building would be the hotel.
Just to clarify that on the seeker standpoint, with the hotel, you're how far out would you say, in terms of the phase? So the first phase, you have the housing. How much further down is the hotel?
The hope is that the hotel will start within 12 months of the final phase CO for the housing. So we're not trying to drag it out a long time.
Right.
We're just trying to be realistic about the fact that we obviously have sponsorship at the table for the market rate residential, the affordable housing, and retail.
And the secret of the form-based codes take into account the hotel?
All of it.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
When you get all the approvals and you start your construction, how long do you think the construction will take to get the housing done? Approximately.
36 months less.
You're probably saying about 3 to 5 years, you should have everything done.
Stabilized, yeah.
It's a big project,
A
it's complicated too with the hillside. And then obviously, as was mentioned, we're in the floodplain, and we have to stabilize the entire shoreline, right? So right now, we have a shoreline. Haverstraw has the longest shoreline of really any of the Rockland County communities, but really only 20% of it gets utilized by the public right now. So the opportunity we have is to bring back a lot of that shoreline to the public, but it's complicated and it hasn't been used in a long time, so it has to be done right. And we're coordinating with DEC on that effort.
And that's part of the DRI initiative that Village won $10 million for. This site was one of the locations for stabilization.
You say affordable mixed income and market rate housing, what is that?
You should then talk about this.
So of the 450 units, about 70% of them will be rent restricted, right? Ryan mentioned integrating to the community. So a lot of what we're doing with this project really is to serve a lot of the residents who are already in Haverstraw. Because one of the narratives you get from the area is everyone's being pushed out, right? I mean, that's just a normal narrative, but.
I live there, I live in the area.
So you've seen it, yeah. So we're hoping to build housing that's affordable for the people out there already, and that'll be about 30% of the project. But 30% of the project will be at 60% of the county's AMI and below, right? Within that 30%, we're going to include about 40 units for veterans, dedicated, set aside, right? We may increase that number based on the yield, but we know 40 units we can fill based on like the demographic information we have, right? Then the other 30% or 33% is what we call workforce housing, right? That'll be about like 81% to 130% AMI. And that'll be like your teachers, your firefighters, and so
That's what I
on.
was gonna just ask.
Yes, so that's how we plan to kind of address that need. And the remaining 30% in your free market.
Which would compete with like the nearby Harbor's Nationals Cove type of product.
Because I was just gonna ask about volunteer firefighters.
Yeah,
it's huge in Haverstraw. I mean, the firefighting community and volunteer community is huge, but the recruiting has been a challenge.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, we've been working very closely. I mean, we worked with Pat, until Pat, retired, and now we're working with, kind of a new regime. And obviously, the mayor is,
Yeah. No,
he's the guy who drives the engine truck.
The school district tax relief, they're having a hard time recruiting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. And then housing is a huge piece of that.
Yeah.
So, we think we can address that. One of the challenges that we have as developers is that the village AMI and the county AMI have a distance between them, right? So we had to these guys did yeoman's work to try to work all those angles to satisfy those gaps, right? And also kind of, provide an opportunity for new residents to come into the village, bring new economy into the village as well. So we're trying to hit every aspect of it, and I think we're getting there. We're doing a good job.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear that you guys are not just looking at just profits, you're also looking at the community to make it better.
Yeah.
Which is great to hear.
Well, Penrose, I mean, this is what these folks do for a living day in, day out. I'm just the guy who gets it approved, so.
That's not fair. Ryan is very much entrenched in that. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, we are very much a mission-driven development company. So we do all ends of the spectrum, public housing repositioning, out to luxury market rate development. We spend the bulk of our time, I'll say, sub 130% of Airbnb income, which to me, workforce rents, to try and make it simple, is like 20% discount to one of the best things in the neighborhood. And from that on down is where we spend the bulk of our time. We're a long hold partner, so we build for the long term. We expect to be in communities for a very long term. We expect to hire staff out of the meeting communities. They become my colleagues, effectively. And so this is exactly the kind of product we like to do. Can't do it everywhere, not by a long shot.
Good to hear. And we can use this development here anyway, which is an abstract.
I'll move your question.
Thanks for coming.
So, yeah, I guess someone wants to make a motion to induce? Oh, you want a second? Okay. Okay. Peg Zugby.
Yes.
Raja Mark.
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Reluctant induced.
Thank you, Kobe. Thank you so much for the time. I look forward to, getting in front of the board.
I voted here, but I won't be able to vote.
I'll use some
Well, we can still talk.
You guys wanna reach out?
Yeah.
Heidi knows me as well, so.
Yes, Jay, good seeing you.
Yeah, she always connect us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good luck.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Yeah, see you all soon, hopefully.
Thank, just tell them we're taking a 1-minute break.
To catch
We
up.
lost our vice chair for a second.
I knew he looked good. He came to talk about the geothermal.
I mean, that's really good to hear for a change.
Be very proactive about it.
These guys are the real deal.
Yeah,
They
you
do
can
what
tell.
they're gonna say.
Yeah,
You go down, so you
Yeah,
probably know.
I know, it was in the project, so I remember like.
You know, I mean, I'll tell you something, I've never heard anybody talk about, putting veterans, firefighters, teachers, I mean.
Yeah, they do, they
do
do more
right.
shell, you're right.
And, like Heidi's saying, they came here and said, for this one, how many kids.
We have
go to
Yali
school.
next?
Yes.
Okay, we'll wait till Tim comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
No, we're
next?
still-
You're still technically, we're broadcasting. We're gonna talk, go into executive session.
So they don't build chairs.
Just for, they haven't had a name yet, so we've been calling them that too. It sticks. I don't think it's ever gonna change.
I'm okay with that.
Who was Jay? This guy? Oh, that guy?
Jay was over here.
Yeah.
That was Jay.
So he's the,
This was Ryan Porter.
that was Ryan, okay.
Yeah, it's the best guy. I think this is,
Yes.
who came in to talk about it?
But he's been here a couple of times to give us updates and things, so he's kind of been
But who comes to a school
he's came before, yeah, I think he gave an overview there too.
about all these tunnels and geothermal thing that would run through the underground and have it in the village and all that.
Just did a geothermal project for our, it was, pretty it was small scale. It's amazing.
Well, really, it was like, oh.
Usually.
Sorry about that, too much phone.
We never made it up there. State school.
Remember, we are broadcasting
Business
live,
meeting,
everyone, so.
I had to sit there for 6 hours without going to the bathroom.
I'm out of here.
All right. The world, Jim and Peg, the world. Morning, Yali, how are you?
Morning, everybody.
If everyone, if you recall, Yali Elkin representing Chartwell. So we'll dive right back into things. I'll give an overview, Yali, and then invite the board to ask for any questions. As you know, Chartwell has been a long time pharmaceutical presence in Rockland. They have been expanding, as everyone knows. So they're here today as part of the another phase. I'd like to say it's the last phase. It's another phase, I think, of their expansion for the moment. And it involves 2 properties up in the Congress area that I think we're looking at as a campus environment of theirs. It involves 30 Hemlock Drive on Hemlock, which is up in Congress, and 150 Wells, which is there. So they're all within sight and walking distance of each other, this campus. They're here today. They're simply looking for a pilot to provide an update. So they're not looking for any other incentives from the IDA, just the ability to negotiate a pilot with the taxing entities. So everyone is aware. I have participated. I won't go into the details of the discussion because it's still under negotiation and discussion, but we have sat down with the town, Chartwell, myself, and they have, I think it's fair to say that we've reached what I believe is informally the terms of a pilot. So that's kind of where it stands, and I guess I'll turn it over to Yali if you want to provide any overview or if the board wants to ask any questions.
Well, if there are no questions, just to provide a little bit of context, we've been here in the same location since about 2010. It predates my coming on board. But we are now we're approximately 120 employees, and if we can successfully consummate this transaction, we could be, I won't be by year end, but by maybe this time next year, we could be at over 200 employees. I mean, there's gonna be some work we have to do, I should say, too, when we're finally done with the work. There's gonna be some equipment we have to bring in. Having been here since 2010, we like the area, we like the local workforce, we like the infrastructure, we like the proximity to major transportation hubs. Look, we're all adults, we all read the news, we know that the pharmaceutical industry, it's high risk, high reward. There's tremendous opportunity, but we see competitors going out of business at the same time. You sometimes find yourself, in this very big, very competitive industry, dancing on a razor's edge. So we have to be strategic, but also opportunistic. At the same time, that sounds like quite a juggling act, but that means that we have to be able to identify opportunities. We have to be able to seize them and exploit them quickly, because there's just increasingly there's less and less margin for error if we're going to continue competing successfully and growing. We've acquired another facility in Carmel, so we have a successful formula. We know that it works, and with some additional help, some additional support to help reduce or minimize some of the risk in the equation for how we can continue operating and growing the business. We're happy to continue investing here, where we've enjoyed so much success until now.
Two questions.
Please.
This is a manufacturing facility?
Yes, sir. It's going to be primarily manufacturing. There's going to be obviously some warehousing, distribution. There's going to be a laboratory, office. I mean, it's a manufacturing. Excuse me. That is an important point. Just to review Chartwell, we produce finished dose pharmaceuticals, tablets, capsules. We're going to be expanding into injectables, liquids as well. Again, that's finished dose pharmaceuticals. This is the stuff that all the big distributors, carry, and it makes its way to the CVS's and the Rite Aids and the Walgreens of all across the country. Sorry.
How? I think it's 50 new employees, something like that.
Yeah.
How are you finding the workforce in Rockland County? In other words, are you going to be able to? Unemployment's low, especially in Rockland County. Mm-hmm. Do you see a problem filling that need?
We haven't had a problem really yet.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we've taken all the above approach to our staffing needs, where we have to work with recruiters or development firms, people who have staffing agencies. Okay, we have no choice. We use employee referrals. We've used LinkedIn and job boards. What we're doing is, again, I don't need to lecture you guys on the history of pharmaceutical manufacturing in this area. There is still a workforce that knows how to make finish those pharmaceuticals very well, and we're able to tap that market. So we can't be picky about it. We cast a wide net. Unfortunately, our turnover is. I should probably know offhand what the local rates are, but our turnover is pretty low. We're happy with it, and we have again, it's a successful formula that we really love to continue replicating.
So it's working.
But even your employees are more.
Your
employees are more.
Thank you.
Traditionally, that's in the pharmaceutical industry, right? It's not something that you're looking to pick up employees.
I want to make sure I understand your question exactly.
So the question is, you have certain criteria for your pharmaceutical company. So your employees that you're looking to hire is probably coming from that same base, right? It's not like you're looking to go out get an accountant in there. You're looking to have somebody more in the science, in the more pharmaceutical.
When it comes to production, yes. Remember that as production expands, we're going to need everything from more accounting, more janitorial, more laboratory, more everything else. So maybe the majority.
So you have a mixture of people.
Exactly. So the majority will be production work, but with every X number of people, you need a supervisor. With every X number of supervisors, you need a manager. So it's going to continue to expand, not exclusively, it'll be mostly production, but not exclusively.
But you've got 60 people there in production, okay?
Yeah.
You're gonna train them. You're not gonna have people come in. Most people who come to you do not have experience.
It's a mix. It's a mix.
Okay.
Again, like I said, we can't be too choosy. We can't be too picky about how we do it. So we have, and again, as we get bigger, I can't prove this to you, but I kind of, it feels right. As we get bigger, we've got, more and more people who know people, who say, oh, somebody, he worked for PAR, oh, this worked for Pfizer, this one worked for Merck. And people come on board with, if they don't have exactly the skills and experience that we need, they have enough of a foundation, what I like to call that kind of the mental shelving. Oh, okay, this is how you guys do it. We did the same thing, we did it a little bit differently. Okay, and just their learning curves are much steeper. So we're not starting, ABCs. We're saying, you know how to do quality assurance, you know how to do quality control, they know all the procedures, but then some of the, the policy differences, just hand them the manual and say, oh, okay, we did it this way, you do it this way, no problem. And so again, it's trying to think of cases where we had like a real problem where somebody just had no idea what they were doing. It's very rare.
It's you just answered the question. It's more from your industry that people would know pharmaceutical more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, in general, also, there's so much pharmaceutical manufacturing between here and getting back to Central Jersey, which is still largely commutable. So we get some North Jersey. I live in North Jersey, but we have really a nice spread in the area. And again, it's funny to tell you guys, this is the place people want to live.
I will add one thing, and I think I'm comfortable saying this so the board's aware that, the supervisor who I've talked to and party to some of the, we've had where we've sat around the table, they are very supportive of this campus creation there. Just so you know that the town is very, very pro this project.
Any other questions?
I think we're good.
So
I'll move the question.
Okay. You're going to make the motion?
Yeah, I make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, I'll call roll. Peg Zugaby?
Yes.
Raj Amar?
Yes.
Tim Riley?
Yes, good luck.
So you're induced, John. Okay. All right. Thank you, and thank you for your patience. I know it's been a busy agenda, so we're running a little late, so I appreciate you.
No worries. Thank you all for your time.
Good seeing you, thank you.
Pleasure seeing you. Pleasure seeing you guys. Till next time.
Yeah,
Are we wait for Lena to come back?
I guess, yeah, we should.
How
You're gonna be signed, I know, the day's the day we probably should have gotten.
Is there anybody else out there?
Oh, yeah.
We got one more project, and then,
Well, two really, because Rockland Gardens.
oh, wait, there's nobody there from Rockland Gardens.
Oh, I thought,
No, this is just a simple, this is a more of an
Clients here.
administrative task we have to do.
gotcha, I thought he was here for the next one.
Howard was nice, and I think it was Howard forwarded us that article about the apartments in Nanuet, that they canceled it. Do we know why?
We're on public, I can tell you, we're not.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the idea.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. Okay.
Oh, this is the.
Wait for Lena to get back, and then we'll.
Yeah, get going.
Anybody need water or anything? We have a little break, anyone want a bottle of water?
TV too. I mean, it's up to you if you wanna, okay, we're waiting for Lena to come back, that's all.
Next time, next meeting. We could probably cut, right, because that oak tree was, you guys, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Want to get going?
Yeah, let's start. Oh, okay, yeah, we don't, we don't need Lena on.
All right. You ready for that? Thank you so much for your patience. Come on in.
Is this one the one behind ShopRite?
Yeah, it's on,
Water to the right.
Yeah.
No, Oak Tree Lane and, continuing Garnet. Yeah,
ShopRite in West Nile.
Oh, it's just Garnet.
no, this is Garnet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is different.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is kind of in behind.
This is their other shop.
Maybe that's the first question, where are
They do
you?
have a place in West Nile.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again. It was a very busy agenda, and like most agendas, it's run later than we thought. So thank you. I apologize. Appreciate your patience. So the board has already received your application, has reviewed it.
This one.
Oh, no. Oh.
Okay.
Ron, that's the.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what's.
Which one do you need?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there
This
something?
is really your package, this isn't that, this isn't the presentation material.
No. All right. So, again, this is involving a housing project up in Haverstraw. They're looking for sales tax, mortgage tax, ability to negotiate a pilot with the taxing entities. I think you're familiar with the team. We worked with them on another project over in Spring Valley. You're familiar with Michael Klein as well on a number of different things. So I guess with that said, if you guys want to provide maybe just a general overview, and then the board will ask any questions as it sees fit.
Sure. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. It's Jake Verdugo, who's the project manager, is next to me to my left. And we have Hershey Friedman, who's also a representative of the developer. We're discussing a 13-acre site along Oak Tree Lane, which is on the northeast side of Rockland Road. It's in Fields, which is an unincorporated portion of the town of Haverstraw. The property historically has been a blighted area for decades. It was built beginning in the 1940s through the mid-1960s, really with bungalow-style rental buildings. It's been an area of problematic with crime and with abandoned vehicles and other trash. And the town, working with the developer, amended its zoning code to establish a new zoning designation, which is LA 17. So it permits apartments with a density not to exceed 17 units per acre. And I think the formal title is Luxury Apartment 17. The project has been approved by the planning board, and it consists of 228 units, which would be divided between 4 separate buildings. The units will vary in size from efficiency units to 2-bedroom units. There'll be 60 units in one building, 72 in another, 36 in the third, and 60 in another. There's a clubhouse, there's a swimming pool, there are some other recreational amenities, there's a walking path around the whole circumference of the property. There's 457 parking spaces, and there's parking underneath each of 3 of the 4 buildings. So it's something that the town has wanted. They adopted its zoning law to encourage exactly this type of development, and they've approved this development. So we're seeking tax relief, and certainly to help the project get off the ground. Just briefly, this is an overall picture of what the project will look like, and from what it is now to this is just an amazing turnaround. So this is something that I think the county and the town will be proud of, and the developer is very anxious to move forward after over 4 years of development proposals and zoning approvals.
Can I ask a question? Where is it?
It's right across from, it's right behind the ShopRite, right across from Town Hall. So
Okay.
they see it every single day. You know where the Green Mountain condominiums? It's between the Green Mountain condominiums and the ShopRite.
Thank you.
Right there.
And how many units are gonna be in there?
228. Over 4 buildings.
I'm sorry, what?
Over 4 buildings. 228 units.
Have you like estimated how many like children would come out of there?
We did an analysis, we spoke to the schools, and I don't recall the exact amount, but we did speak to the schools and make sure that they had the capacity to handle.
Because I'm on the school board there.
Okay. So we did speak to the superintendent of the school when we were doing this whole process. but this was over a course of 4 years that we were doing the approvals. And we have a letter from them stating that they can accept the influx of children coming from the site.
So you don't know about how many?
I can check, I have it in my notes.
I should say the size of the units, the 69 studios are 529 square feet, so they're relatively small. The one bedrooms are 833 square feet, and the two bedrooms, where there's 72 two bedrooms, which is where there would more likely be children, they vary in size from 1,132 to 1,200.
So there's 72 of them.
Correct.
72.
Over the whole,
development, yes, only 72.
so there's only 72 of them.
That's the max.
So that would be more likely where the children would be. Okay.
That's correct.
The exit and entrance to this facility is gonna be off of 202?
It's off of Rosman Road.
No, off of Rosman.
Rosman,
And
okay.
it's the same entrance.
Did they do a traffic study at all? Are you gonna have to put a light in there or anything like
We
that?
did multiple traffic studies and,
That would be too close to.
yeah, there's no additional traffic signals that are needed.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just look at the drawing?
Of course.
There's multiple.
Have you set aside any of these apartments for volunteer firemen or anything like that?
No.
No?
We have multiple pictures if you like them.
No affordable, or any of them like affordable?
Housing or anything?
There's no, the town didn't require any formal affordability provisions. It was the concept that based on the size of the units.
All different.
Yeah, based on the size of the units going from the relatively small studios to the two bedrooms, that would dictate differences in prices and different income levels.
I just wanted to add, we actually donated the property for the past year. It's been donated to the police department SWAT team from the county, not just from Haverstraw. The REAC team has been trained there quite often, and also the fire department. I opened it up to the entire county, anyone that wanted to do training on these buildings that we have currently there, so.
No, this doesn't open back up onto like Captain Shanky or anything.
It doesn't, it does not open up.
Just onto Rosman.
Correct.
So everybody from those units are gonna have to enter and exit onto Rosman.
Through Rosman Road, correct.
That's kind of like a lot of people, isn't
I believe the traffic study indicated that the capacity of the road wouldn't change in terms of the.
I'm thinking, yeah, it seems like a lot of people.
But as I guess so the town, like the municipality has accepted the traffic studies.
No,
So I just want to make sure, just confirm that, like say publicly that.
Right, you've got all your permits.
You got everything, all these questions like you've
All
got,
these-
you've
yeah.
checked them off as a town and the entities involved.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, yeah, for the
No,
people,
I know that. I
yeah.
just wanted to-
Yeah, it's over a 4-year approval process.
Yes.
So,
Took us a while.
yeah, so the environmental's been approved and the traffic study's been approved and vetted by the town's assessor.
Yeah, it's not like a business letting out,
Yeah.
so they're not all gonna come
Coming
and
and
go at
going
the
and during
same
the course,
time.
sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a scheduled start of construction date?
We've been struggling with it because of currently where rates are at and, with the pricing of construction, it's been so high. So we've been working on our financing diligently and it's still being worked on. We would have loved to get started right away. I mean, as we mentioned, this has been 4 years of us trying to get approval, so we wanted to hit the ground running, but, we're working through it.
And that's why, from our perspective, the importance of getting the benefits is very significant in terms of getting the project off the ground, and then we'll see what we can do in terms of negotiating a pilot.
Well spoken. Okay. Any other questions? Does anybody want to move the application? All right, I'll second.
Okay, Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley,
Yes.
been induced, okay.
Thank you very much. Great.
And you got I'll give you my normal spiel, like obviously the next step is we'll have a public hearing, I believe it'll be in town of Haverstraw Town Hall. You're not required to attend that, it's really kind of a one-way communication, from the public of any written comment, you're welcome to come, but you're not required to attend. And then, again, we'll discuss as far as timing for, following that, there would be an authorizing resolution.
If I'm correct, you don't usually provide refreshments at those meetings, right?
No, we limit it to oranges and cookies
You're welcome
here.
to bring them.
We rely on the applicant.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck.
Okay.
Karen, Mike.
I'm gonna take a quick break.
Yeah.
Okay, I know this goes on.
You guys, yeah.
Commercial break.
Stay
Yeah,
cool.
everybody want to take a 5-minute break? Sure. Okay, I want you to pause that. We're
Yep.
taking a
Rockland Gardens.
Okay.
No, we're past Rockland Gardens. We're on,
We're on the
oh, yes, we are in
Rockland
Rockland Gardens.
Oh, I was
So-
gonna say, where was I?
All right, so this is, I'll turn this over to Ron. This is a resolution just required as part of the closing process. So Ron, why don't you explain to the board what we're asking them to consider?
Yeah, this is a $14 million bond issue to finance affordable housing. And there's a pilot agreement, which is based on an agreed upon assessed value that is going through the local approval process. It's scheduled to close at the end of this month. Any questions? There's sales tax benefits, mortgage tax.
So this resolution itself, what are you asking the board today to actually?
I'm asking, this is an approval resolution.
Okay.
We're asking you to.
So you're asking for mortgage tax, sales tax.
Right,
And
right, this is the final
This
is
approval.
the
We
final.
induced it. and
This was induced. We went to the state, we got permission, we got authorization to issue $14 million tax exempt debt.
This is the ASCII stuff.
I'm sorry?
That's the ASCII
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
yeah, I was just gonna say, this is the one in Nyack.
Yes.
Correct.
And we did have a public hearing. Heidi, you conducted a public hearing. Was there any
Yes.
comment?
No public comment. In fact, the only
Okay.
comment was that everyone was excited about it. They didn't officially come to the meeting, but when I showed up, everyone was very in favor of the project.
And we do have the county executive's approval of this one.
Yeah.
So,
This is, if I'm not mistaken, a renovation to the existing
this
facility.
is a renovation.
Yes,
It's pretty much fully, fully rented. They're gonna move the residents in and out as needed.
Yeah, I remember the whole conversation we had.
And it's a very,
The cable is on the German.
I don't remember that part.
Wait, what was the question?
Did Steve ASCII come with
Yes.
another German?
Yes, they partner on this, those two.
Okay.
the bonds will be funding the purchase price of the property plus about $2 to $3 million of renovations.
All right. Someone, I guess. Okay, you make the motion, Peg?
Yep,
Yeah.
and I'll second.
Okay. Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
All in favor. Okay. That concludes our action items. If you want to move on. Now, Heidi, the labor reports, we have not, did we get the
We
labor?
have July, August is not yet in. July is at the bottom of your screen. They start with the RCIDA, those three bullets.
And by and large, like I said, the projects that, we're progressing, there are two matters regarding the labor status that I want to talk, we're going to do that in executive session. But apart from those two projects, everything seems to be, would you say, on board as far as the,
Yes, yeah, everyone else is good.
and from a billing standpoint, we're getting paid as required.
Yep, that's all going smoothly.
And in turn, we're reimbursing low-key grill. So the labor process is going as anticipated.
I don't see the attachment for low people.
It was here.
It's RCIDA.
So it's these three for July.
Interesting. We'll do the treasurer's report.
Sure. Right, same thing with it. This is July and August. Since we did not have an August meeting, we did not review the July financials, but as you can see, the financial reports that, again, are nothing extraordinary, nothing unusual. Our expenditures are pretty predictable. I think we did upgrade some software. There was some software for protection, security protection that our accounting firm, our independent auditors, I'm sorry, recommended, and we talked to Carl, our software person, who then implemented
we've
that.
implemented
Just
some
another layer
additional
of protection.
firewalls and things.
Yeah. But other than that, very routine, typical administrative operational costs. Okay. I guess somebody wants to make a motion.
Might make a motion to accept the financial report?
Okay, Peg Zugby,
Yes.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay, with that, I would also then at this point ask someone to make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, okay, with that, Shell, thank you for joining us.
We're live?
I have to read the minutes quick, I'm gonna do it real
Oh,
fast.
that's gonna.
It's gonna be quick.
I have backup to make
Actually,
sure.
it'll be quicker if I have the agenda in front of me.
No one on?
Okay, so, call to order at 10:05 this morning. The board would consider an authorizing resolution for a site for additional sales tax exemption. Motion by Peg, seconded by Tim Riley, all in favor. Inducement resolution regarding the Ranch Hudson Valley. As Flores gave an overview, their attorney, Michael Klein, provided an overview, explained why they were asking for additional sales tax based on the significant expansion of the project scope. Board members asked a variety of questions about the status of the project, closing dates, etc. Motion by Peg Zugby, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. Representatives of Regeneron came, introduced the team. As Porth provided an overview. Representatives of Regeneron gave an overview of the project, which involves the acquisition of the former Avon facility in Suffern. They talked about their operations there, the employment levels. Board members asked a variety of questions. They provided an update also of the discussions with the municipalities. Let's see. Motion by Raj, after following discussion, motion by Raj Amar, second by Peg Zugby. All in favor. Haverstraw Chair Factory / Penrose LLC, involving the redevelopment of the downtown area, formerly known as the Haverstraw Chair Factory property, was considered by the board. As Porth gave an overview, representatives of Penrose gave an overview, discussed the overall development, which is a mix of retail, commercial, residential, recreational facilities in the lower downtown area along the waterfront. Board members again asked a variety of questions. And by the way, all these questions are on public record in our, our live feed. So I don't want you to think I'm ignoring your questions. Anyone interested would go to the live feed to see that. Following discussion, motion by Raj Amar, seconded by Tim Riley. All members voted, all in favor, motion passed. Representative Chartwell came to discuss a request for pilot for 30 Hemlock Drive and 150 Wells Avenue to expand the campus environment of Chartwell Pharmaceuticals, which has been located in Rockland County in Congress since 2010. As Porth provided an overview. Representative Chartwell Yaliakin continued to discuss, talked about workforce. They answered a variety of questions from the board. Motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. Oak Tree Apartments in Haverstraw. As Porth provided an overview, which involves a housing complex in Haverstraw. Michael Klein, representing the applicant, gave an overview of the project. Board again asked a variety of questions as far as the breakout of the various apartment units, which are ranged from efficiency to 1 and 2 bedrooms. Talked about other amenities at the facility. Following discussion, a motion by Raj Amar, seconded by Tim Riley, all in favor. Board considered a bond resolution involving the authorizing resolution for Rockland Gardens. Ron Grosser, IDA Council Ron Grosser gave an overview update of the project, anticipated closing timeframes. Following discussion, motion by Peg Zugby, seconded by Tim Riley, all in favor. The board reviewed the Low Key Brill monthly report, labor workforce report. Board reviewed the treasurer's report, and then was reported, as Porth reported, that there were no unusual expenditures other than some additional security software that was recommended by the independent auditor that we did purchase and implement into our software programs. That said, motion to go into executive session by the board. And we came out of that at 12:17 and resumed open session. So if someone wants to make a motion to accept the minutes, and then,
I'll make it.
okay, and then someone makes a motion to close the meeting.
Close the meeting. Good job.
Someone want to say smoking if you got them?
No, that's-
I thank you. Listen, I know this is a lot, and I appreciate